H. Trent from WBRZ is our guest. He wanted to let you all know that he will work for Twitter. So if you have any odd jobs around the house, Matt Trent will work for Twitter. I mean, are you about to go like do a legal prep case? Like, are you Perry Mason on your off time? Like, what are you doing all dressed up like you're about to go, yeet?
This is actually my day job attire. When I do my odd jobs working for Twitter handles, I actually have a banana hammock that I put on. It's just got a big LSU. And the LSU goes front to back. So the L's around the front, the S kind of just tucks under, and then it's a big U on the back buttocks there.
I think we could. I really believe
you asked. That's why people. I don't know why people are at this point are shocked when I tell them things like that, because if you ask me, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you.
I've known you for a while now, and I talk to you almost every day. I should have known. It's my fault. I blame myself, honestly.
People say stuff. They're like, "Oh my God, why would you say that?" I go, "Because why not? Like, it's the truth." You know.
I love you to death. I never want to see it ever on you.
I mean, I will. Well, I'm not going to go there either. I'm not going to go there. I will be if I ever wore that, I will be properly groomed. Let's put it that way.
Speaking of that, manscaped.com. You can use the promo code AYS. Seriously, you can. Shout out to our good friends over at Manscaped. We'll be bringing them back during football season. Matt, let me ask you this. And if you have some questions, fire them in the chat, #AskMT. Is it naive? Was it naive? Because this Dante Moore, 5-star quarterback from Michigan, kind of some things hitting today. Our buddy Mike Scarborough put some things out there. The Notre Dame confirmed. The Notre Dame guys confirmed what Mike was saying. Matt, was it naive for us to believe that Brian Kelly and Scott Woodward wouldn't have a plan for NIL ready to go? Like, I mean, am I the only person that believes that? I mean,
yes, Blake, because they've been behind the entire time. They have no money anywhere in reserve accounts. They've been behind this whole NIL thing from the very beginning. They've lost every NIL battle ever. They've been behind. The L in LSU stands for losers in NIL. They're just behind, Blake. They're behind.
Matt Trent is trying to put me in YouTube jail, LGZ.
How could anyone think that a program like LSU, with the notoriety they have, they're behind? It's not how you start, it's how you finish.
That's what she said.
You know? Yes. Okay? You know those races that regular people or football players try to do against Usain Bolt when he was at like the peak of his career? I mean, not that he's fallen off, but like when he was really beating everybody by 100 meters, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And he would give them 30 meters, and what it ended up happening, he would still win by at least 2 or 3 leg lengths, okay? That's LSU, okay? They what I always think is so funny about LSU, it's really the brilliance. They know that they're so good at a lot of things. They're not good at everything, but they are good at a lot of things. When it comes to, I'm not talking about sports, I'm talking about this NIL stuff and the digital stuff and whatever, content creation, whatever. They know that they can jump into any ring with anybody at any time and win. Might not be by knockout blow, but it's going to go a couple rounds, and by the end of the 12th, LSU is going to be standing, and there's going to be someone on the mat, okay? Yes, Brian Kelly and Scott Woodward have a plan for everything. Brian Kelly has a plan for probably next fall, not fall of 2022, fall of 2023. He's probably mapped out next fall's practice plans and knows what's going on. He's probably got like days they're going to run sprints, days they're going to go full scrimmage, days they're going to go just shells for 2023. Like, that is a narrative that gets really, really old too. LSU's behind. LSU behind. They're one of the most innovative athletic departments in the world, in the country, in the world, on the planet Earth. The one that I live on, you live on. Don't know that a lot of other people that cover this team. Okay? Don't know that.
Oh God!
Don't know when they put their mailing address out on forms that there's going to be a place that you can find on Google Maps. All I'm saying.
Bro, I'm about to tweet out. I know you can't tweet. I'm about to tweet out Matt Trent's on fire. All right.
It's just Blake. It's just like you and I have this conversation ad nauseum. I just don't understand when people can't look at something with their eyes and their brain and just see it for what it is. I don't understand that. I've never understood that. And how could anyone with the money that this school rakes in with everything, the TV deals, the money from the SEC, just literally just donors in general, how do we not see like, oh yeah, LSU's behind? It's like that meme of like the big fat guy laying on the bed of just like money. Is that what people think LSU is doing? Just falling to sleep on a bed of cash and not having any intent to use it?
It's what I do, fat included.
You know, like you realize that Scott Woodward came from like Texas A&M, who, if there is anyone that's going to rival LSU with money, it's A&M.
No debate.
So when he was doing all that before NIL, and he was limited to what he can do, and there were actually restrictions on what you could do, and it's the wild, wild west now. I don't give a shit. Like, they don't. We can just wait. You mean to tell me we can throw money at anybody legally? What?
And Matt, to rudely interrupt you, legislation's changing.
And guess what? Like, I'll put Scott Woodward as the top 5 AD in the country.
I agree.
I'll put him at top 2, and he ain't 2. That's my personal opinion.
Matt, I don't disagree. Again, Mulkey, Johnson, Peterson, Jim. You can say what you want about Jimbo. What happens if that stuff starts working? Okay, and then the ultimate. What if what happens if Brian Kelly wins a natty? Now, Chris Peterson was the last head coach of the Pac-12, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, no, Washington was the last team in the college football playoffs with Chris Peterson. I mean, he's exceeding where he's going. I agree with you. I think you're spinning fire. They're calling you Pastor Matt in the chat. Pastor Matt. That sounds very youth minister like.
There's nothing holy about me, so we're gonna have to nix it.
Bro, on fire. Did you what? God, I wish this was an unfiltered podcast because I would ask you so many questions. Bro, you must have played a great round of golf today.
I'm working today.
All day? You've been working for 66 days straight.
I'm in the war room right now. Like, this is ground zero for WBRZ Sports. Like, we're in this. It's just me, a dark room, and a computer screen.
True.
I'm not going to tell you what's on the computer screen.
Oh, God. Pastor Mark, I think is who is on there with you. I forget his last name. Pastor Mark. All right, let's talk about this very quickly. I agree with you in everything you were saying. Matt, the better team won in Hattiesburg, in my opinion. A lot of people don't agree with me, but it doesn't matter because we were right, or I was right. And I'm sure you've echoed those same sentiments. Matt, to play with the big boys, you got to be able to pitch. Tyler McManus was not why you lost. Okay, Jordan Thompson was not why you lost the regional. Matt, you got out-pitched.
Here's the one thing that I have found, and this is going to make a lot of people watching this and whomever this clip will be sent to very upset. I have noticed that LSU fans have a very tough time admitting when they just flat out got beat. They have very huge problems. It's a pride thing. I get it. Of saying, hey, man, we just got beat today. And that's okay. We got beat. You got beat by Southern Miss. You got out-pitched by Southern Miss. Don't necessarily think you got out-hit. Don't really necessarily think you got out-defended. You got out-pitched. Because you had a bull. I said this in my report last night. Regional baseball, postseason baseball, whether it be your conference tournament or regional, super regional, or Omaha, it has a very weird way of taking a 56-game season worth of data and stats and numbers and throwing it completely out of the window. Mm-hmm. I'll give you a prime example that's not about LSU. The Pato kid for Southern Miss, left-hander who hit a ball off Blake Money that short-hopped the church in right field.
St. Thomas Aquinas, by the way.
Game 2, maybe? That was the second game, I think?
No, it was game 1. It was game 1.
Game 1? Okay.
No, I mean game 1 of the 2 last ones. It was game 6, technically.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Talking with some, he went like, I think he went like 4 for 12 or something like that, or some crazy. He hit 3 home runs against LSU.
Mm-hmm. Right.
3 home runs against LSU. Talking with some Hattiesburg media people, they were like, yeah, he's been like the 8-hole guy all year. And then, he either caught fire in the conference tournament or something, or Scott Berry had a hunch, put him at the top of the lineup, and he blistered balls. Against LSU, blistered balls.
Well, and look, with all due respect, I mean, people can rip on that take all they want, but the truth is the truth. And to Justin, I agree with Matt. The 18 errors by Jordan Thompson, the 18 errors this season did not lose you the regional.
Jordan Thompson.
I'm an LSU fan. Matt, it didn't lose you the regional. You got out-pitched. Matt,
Jordan Thompson made a lot of damn good plays in the field this weekend.
I agree.
Made a lot of really good plays. And, Scott Berry said it beautifully after the first time LSU and Southern Miss played. When they took Waldrop out, the starter for Southern Miss, who was lights out, 95-97, with a wipeout slider and a split finger. When they took him out, LSU started putting balls in play. And Scott Berry said we couldn't strike him out. We couldn't strike him out because the guys that we were bringing in weren't on that elite level that Waldrop was, or didn't have that same type of stuff, and LSU was putting balls in play. What happened with the walk-off win against Southern Miss? Josh Pearson had a game-winning hit that didn't even get out of the infield. And LSU, that's kind of like a little bit encapsulated about LSU. Their bullpen has been, but it wasn't great. I think they hit a wall. When you have to throw certain guys multiple times, back-to-back days, or just multiple times in a weekend, you're going to hit a wall. Like Raiselman, I think Saturday he pitched, or the first time he pitched in Hoover, Raiselman's one of those guys where he'll be 97-98. Mm-hmm. And when he pitches the second time in a weekend, it's 93-94. That's a huge difference. 4 miles an hour. Huge difference.
Well, and to rudely interrupt you on that, because I think it goes with what you're about to say, and Marshall says #AskMT. As a former pitcher, was there more that Jay could have done with his staff?
No.
I don't think people know your resume, so to speak. You were a college pitcher. So to answer that, is there anything more that Jay could have done with his pitching staff?
No. I think the results that you got were literally the best that we could have ever hoped for. I think that they were the best, and Mikhail Hilliard is A1 prime example, numero uno. You can't tell me that you can roll a dude out who's 87-88 on Friday night in the SEC and expect to have a chance. If you would have given me if you would have put Mikhail Hilliard's attributes as like a blind taste test, fastball 87-88, curveball, whatever, and said, is this guy going to succeed on Friday nights in the SEC? I said, absolutely not. But guess what he did second half of the season?
He
he shoved it up everybody's you-know-what in the SEC. Mm-hmm. And you just saw a bunch of guys that came in and they hit a wall. Riley Cooper, who was lights out towards the end of the year, wasn't great. Blake Money. I think Blake's deal was more mental than anything else.
Agreed.
But Friday night guy, and he just couldn't get people out. And people don't understand like the hand Jay was dealt either. Like, I think forgetting the people that he had in and dealing and having to like put together a successful team with what he was given. They won 40 games this year. That's pretty good, dude. That's pretty good in my book. And look, like I said it before the beginning of the year. They're either going to be really, really good or really, really bad. And you look, the Vanderbilt series, really, really good. Really good. Hoover, really bad. Some positives, really bad. Hattiesburg Regional, flashes of both.
Well, and Matt, the two lefties that you were counting on, and Hasty and Cooper didn't show up. I mean, they struggled, and really and truthfully, you know, and Matt, I can't preach this to the bleachers. Tyler McManus, and we have some of these comments already in the chat, guys. And Matt, I'm not going to speak for you, but I'll speak for my damn self. Tyler McManus didn't lose you the effing regional, dude. Grow up. It's not what other people are saying. Matt, they threw 13 straight balls. 13. You were there. Remember in the stands where they go, ball 13, 13 straight balls, Matt. They walked the bases loaded.
I just, you know, maybe
not straight, but damn near close.
Maybe you can put it on the of the last two against Southern Miss, the pass ball from Gervais. Well, they all run together for me. Was that the first game of the two or the second?
It was the last game, but Matt, you were there again. I mean, and Jay somewhat trying to hint at the post game. Matt, how difficult is it? I know you've been asked this 1,000 times in your life. How difficult is it if you're a catcher and you're setting up for an outside slider at 77 miles an hour and trying to catch a 95-mile-an-hour fastball up and in?
It's hard. It's hard enough to catch 94 with movement when you know it's coming.
Let me ask you, did you see the Alex Lang pitch from this week? Okay, well, I'm going to send it to you. Alex Lang literally threw a two-seam at the batter. It ended in the strike zone.
So here's the thing, too, and I looked at the one yesterday, the pass ball with Gervais. Like, we can all talk about, like, oh, he's not Alex Milazzo. Tyler McManus is not a horrible catcher.
No, he's not.
Is Alex Milazzo? Yeah, but it's like, oh, is Tyler McManus Pudge Rodriguez? Just because you're not the best at what you do doesn't mean that you suck. So, like, when Tyler McManus is standing right here and the ball's coming and it tips off his glove and goes right past him, hits the umpire and goes to the backstop, like, that's not Tyler McManus. That's getting crossed up with your pitcher. That is a miscommunication of signs, because when that happens, like, I'm watching McManus and it's so fast, it's 95 off the glove to the backstop, and then he turns around, and then in that moment, you know, the run scores and Gervais is at the plate and they're talking, and Gervais has got, you know, one of these looks going on, and you could just tell McManus had just had it. He's been dealing with that all season. All season.
Coming from a college pitcher.
I know what that looks like. I know that face. I know that reaction. And Tyler McManus has been dealing with it all season. Is he the best, like, defensive catcher? Probably.
No.
Is he horrible? No. Is he like, defensively, I think he's better than Travinsky.
No doubt.
I think he's the second best catcher on there, but, like, this stuff like that, like, it's just very obvious that the bullpen was the issue. LSU got outpitched. Southern Miss was rolling dudes out like the closer 19 that closed it out last night that gave up the game-winning hit in the first game. He was 95 and he was just coming off TJ. They said in the post-game press conference.
Tommy John for everybody who doesn't know, but correct, right?
Like coming off TJ and like he's throwing 95 and like he can do it. So like why can't LSU do it? And again, this is not on Jay Johnson. It's not on Jason Kelly. If anything, we ought to praise Jason Kelly for taking that pitching staff to a regional within, hell, maybe a couple pitches of a super regional. Like, just think about, and again, these next couple weeks, you're going to see a lot of dudes hit the portal. You're going to see a lot of dudes get cut, because Jay is bringing in people that he wants, his type of player. And they're not like what Paul Maneri was bringing in towards the end of his tenure here. I can go ahead and tell you. The class that they got coming in, which is rated as the #1 class, it's like 20 guys, I think. Even if, 10 of them get drafted, the other 10 still going to be pretty good.
Well, that was the next question. I mean, Matt, I'm not going to judge Jay off of this season, but the equivalent of what a friend of ours told me, it was Jay Johnson has a class equivalent to A&M's football recruiting class from this last cycle. Now, Matt, I will tell you this. I'm not saying you're a couple pitchers away, but Matt, you may be. Look, I get Jacob Berry's leaving. I get Doty's leaving. Matt, you're bringing the best shortstop in the country in, and the kid from Barb, Guidry.
You think who was Louisiana Gatorade Player of the Year?
Player of the Year, right?
So, and that too, like, it's still up in the air if Raiselman comes back, if he gets drafted high enough to where he's going to leave. Dude, I swear, I promise you. Look, I got here in 2019 in the summer when they hosted the Super against Florida State, and Devin Fontenot, it was just unreal in that Super, if I remember. Didn't he pitch like multiple times? I know there was one where it felt like he was out there for 8 hours just throwing.
That was the 11-4 game. That was game 1. Mm-hmm.
So you've got a guy like that who was then the best closer in the country, one of. You get that type of performance, put it with a Raiselman, and you put it with like a long relief guy, like I think Grant Taylor has that ability. I think Jacob Hasty has that ability when he's fresh and not overworked. Those types of dudes, like Blake Money, if they put him in the bullpen full time, like you get some long relief, you get a back end of the game guy like an 8th, and then have a dude who's lights out, who's going to get you punch outs. Like that's again, LSU didn't have anybody in there where they can go, hey, bases loaded, no outs. Can you give me at least one punch out so we might have a chance for a double play, or 2 punch outs, and then what? They don't have that guy. Raiselman, yes, but again, they all just kind of hit this wall, and they couldn't seem to like kick it down, and that was a lot because of overuse, in my personal opinion.
Well, and I agree with that. And this is the last thing, and we'll get you out of here. But Matt, here's my God's honest opinion. What if you have 2 stars that can give you 6 innings? Matt, they are. Now, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to say they're Tennessee good, but if you kind of think about it, like if you take a step,
look, like Blake. Look at Southern Miss. They threw Tanner Hall the first game against Army, and he went 8. They threw in their elimination game against Kennesaw State. They threw the dude who went 9. Right. Do you have? Tell me right now. Do you have anybody on LSU staff from this year that can do that?
No, Matt. We don't have anybody that can go 4.
You don't have a Landon Marceau that's going to give you minimum 6. Minimum 6.
Right. Did we need that kid to come back?
You don't need like you don't have a dude like that that's going to just eat innings up, because that's what you need in postseason baseball, because it comes down to pitching. and pitching and more pitching. I don't care what you do with the bat. LSU had the best lineup in the regional. Had the best lineup in the regional, and they got knocked out. You know why? Because if you score 10 and you give up 11, guess what? You lost. As Jay Johnson said, pretty simple game, folks. Pretty simple.
Well, everybody on the beat arguing with Jay Johnson that he says he needs more pitching in this game. What that this regional wasn't on Tyler McManus. Who do you agree with, Jay Johnson or?
Look, I'm gonna be honest. You give me 2 more quality arms. LSU's in a super right now.
Matt, they're an Omaha team. I think that they're.
They have it. You can make the case. You give me 1 or 2 more bats, maybe to put at the bottom half of the lineup because that lineup is very top heavy. It is. Mm-hmm. Give me 1 or 2 more bats. That's an Omaha team, and you can't tell me.
No doubt. Free Matt Trent. Free Matt Trent. All right, buddy. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.